Well, to talk more about the Uttarakhand disaster and the rescue operation, we're joined by Vivek Kumar Pandey, spokesperson of the ITBP, Dr. Pradeep Bharadwaj, CEO and Medical Director, Six Sigma Healthcare, and Anil Kumar Gupta, Head Environment and DRM, National Institute of Disaster Management. Sir, first to you, Vivek Kumar Pandey, if you could tell us the latest about the rescue operations. It's in a very, very challenging situation.
Yes, last night we have continued our operations. There was no stopping. We have rotated our men into various groups, and one by one they were at the site. We were waiting outside if there is a breakthrough, but unfortunately it was not happening. Some 20 meters of tunnel was opened. It was about 100 yesterday night, but like today in the morning, it is 120 meters or so. The height of the slush has gone down considerably. If I can give you a feed, it is about 15 foot height, which was there initially. Due to the clearing of the debris, it is now about 9 feet or something. So 5 to 6 feet above the ground level, you can say, and from the rooftop. So there is a space where people can move. So we are eyeing that within 3-4 hours there may be a possibility to send a second recce team. Yesterday we tried to send a recce team of 20-25 men along with the dog and the high power cameras, but they were not successful into entering. Let's hope that by that bifurcation, which has been told that there may be some sort of breakthrough, we can reach this afternoon. All our teams are on the ground, and we are hoping that maybe in a couple of hours there may be some breakthrough.
Right, sir. And also, is this the main rescue operation? But if you could tell us more about downstream, is there any other concerns over there? All the villagers are safe?
Look, initially that those 1 hour, 2 hours, you can say, initially when the flood water entered into Joshimath area and then going downstream. If you take out those 1 or 2 hours, there was no such state of any scale of disaster or the breaking of houses or water going into the villages. So we are only focusing on this saving these lives, these 39 to 40 lives which has been reported trapped inside. Vis-a-vis the state administration, the SDRF and the ITBP personnel are also looking on both sides of the river bank, whether there is a possibility of any pocket or any area where people can be surviving. Otherwise, the dead bodies have been recovered. Some 20 dead bodies have been recovered so far.
Right, so we have this huge number of 200 people missing.
Yes, it is 202, and we are receiving numerous calls from various parts of the country, from Bihar, from UP. They wanted to know about the whereabouts of their relatives. They were young people. They were actually working with various agencies, and they were associated with the NTPC. So when this flash flood came, most of them were working downstream somewhere in Tapovan, in Rishi Ganga area. And some of them were lower than that, area. So locals also, some 15 people from the local areas were also reported missing. So we can only hope that there may be a chance, because sometimes what happens that due to floods and all, people used to run away. We had seen in the 2013 Uttarakhand disaster also that people had gone to the upper reaches and it was very, very difficult to trace them, and some of them returned back. Possibility number 1, and possibility number 2, they may be washed away in the floods. So the debris has gone up to Srinagar. So the search area has been extended to a very large area now. We have to see all the possible areas, and it is the rescue operations are going to going into 4, 5, 6 days in the near future. We may be eyeing to see more live persons, and the tunnel is the main focus, because we hope that some 40 people are trapped inside.
Right, there we know for sure there over 30 trapped. Dr. Pradeep Bharadwaj, it's very challenging for the rescue teams. It's also very, very cold, the conditions over there.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Jai Hind. I appreciate, first of all, the ITBP doing a fantastic job there. Even we doctors are also trained by the ITBP and armed forces. And we doctors, we reached there on 7th Feb in the night, and we are doing some medical treatment in the surrounding villages. Although there is no injury or no major injuries, but here what we are seeing that in the surrounding villages, there are 17 villages. Most of the people are into the depressions and they need some good counseling, and they don't need any medicines, but our doctors are doing our best efforts. And at the same time, we notice that this tunnel has only one entry and one exit. That's the main problem, I think, and Dr. Pandey can speak more about the tunnel. But what we are doing, that we are with the lives and we are trying to save the maximum people there, ma'am. Ji.
Right. If you could tell us a bit more about your camp there in Chamoli, and you're talking about how a lot of people are traumatized, because this was obviously very, very frightening. I mean, all of us sitting here watching those visuals, you could feel the, how frightening it was, the extent of this natural disaster.
Yes, ma'am. We are the people of the specialized into high altitude medical services, means mountain medicines, and we are trained by the armed forces. And we are the only organization, that is Six Sigma Healthcare, that is trained by the armed forces of India. And we are into the high altitude medical services since 2009. And we are the first in 2013 also. We reached at Kedarnath, and continuously we are providing medical services at Char Dham Yatra. And we are very well aware about the surrounding, the Malari Pass and all these areas, all these villages like Jagju, Tapovan, Palla, Latta, Tolam. These are the villages where our medical services, medical team is going there. And we are also associated with the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering and Indian Mountaineering Foundation. Ji, ma'am.
All right. Anil Kumar Gupta, now we're still waiting to know more about what really caused this disaster. There's so much talk of of a part of the glacier breaking away. Initially, there was also talk of a lake burst, and also what led to the glacier breaking away, whether it's climate change, whether it was because of activities around these projects, whether there was any sort of blasting taking place. So many questions, and hopefully we will have answers when this matter is, thoroughly probed.
Yeah. You are very correct, because there has been some kind of confusions also, and whenever these kind of disasters take place, particularly in the Himalayan areas, then there are possible alternative theories that come out. But here, I think now our teams have also visited, and the discourse, although discourse is going on, but partly the cloud is clear, and it is a kind of a breaking of glacier. And yes, people are talking a lot that how it is linked to climate change. So usually the isolated events, we do not relate to the climate change, because climate change is a broader phenomenon.
Sure.
But on the other hand, the kind of things that have been taking place, the kind of environmental changes, otherwise not looking into this particular year's winter, but in general, because climate is an average of 30 years, it is not related to 1 year's change. And a study is also going on for our Himalayan areas about the atmospheric brown cloud process. And because of the increasing carbon concentration in the atmosphere, now the snow that used to be as brighter as earlier, now it is turning grayish, and which is trapping more heat as compared to the previous time.
Right, because pollution reaching the higher reaches, but...
Exactly. So that is also an attribute of increasing heat trapping and the possible melting within. So there are possibilities that the upper surface that appears to be the hard crust, but within that has been the melted material. And along with that, there is a kind of a moraine deposition, because that is the common phenomenon in the Himalayan areas.
Right. Sir, also the point is that, yes, we're having all these climate change factors and maybe localized warming taking place there. And yes, this is a very ecologically fragile area, which is prone to these sort of natural disasters. But the fact is that it gets compounded when you have all these projects, because, as Mr. Pandey was telling us just now, that, as far as the villagers go, there's not so much damage as such. Yes, they require some, counseling, as Dr. Bhardwaj said, but the fact is that the reason these 37 people are trapped is because you have these projects taking place, and that compounds the extent of the disaster. These 200 people who are said to be missing are all people who are working on these projects.
Yeah, you are correct, and that is why we have been advocating, and I think this is an urgent need, that whenever these kind of infrastructure projects are taken, first thing is that looking at the very prudent site planning, and it requires a two-way sustainability mechanism. One is that to protect the plant, but also that how these infrastructures are altering the ecological fragility of that region. So that is important. And second thing that comes to the fore of the thinking, that these workers who are not from the hilly area, they are from the plains. So, and if they are not adequately trained, so their training in capacity building is important, because they were not the people from Uttarakhand, they are people from outside, and their training is, yeah.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much all for joining us, and we can just pray, for some good news emerging today regarding those 37 people who are trapped in the tunnel. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us here at NDTV.